My name's Wendy Nicholson. I am not a doctor or a registered dietitian or a nutritionist, but I have studied diets for almost 40 years, and I have been on multiple diets. I've helped start diet groups various times over the 30 years as an adult, and many times I got so frustrated. I would help other people lose weight. I would start these groups and we'd all lose some weight, and it was great success, and then something would happen. We would usually go our separate ways. I was moving a lot back and forth between Canada and Brazil in my 20s and 30s, and so I would leave the country and I would go on another diet because I'd gain weight and I'd lose weight, and I'd go start another little group, and it was just this constant revolving door of my weight coming and going and coming and going. And finally in 2021, I learned about intermittent fasting. I really did a deep dive into why do I keep going on these diets. One of the most important things, I will say that all the time, one of the most important things, the most important thing. I don't know if there's one most important thing that all can be narrowed down to, but one of the most important things was learning about people who have addictions. Now, I have had multiple eating disorders and have had food trauma in the past. I am very aware of that and learning more about that, and I understand that many people deal with eating disorders. It's not a small thing. It's not something to mock and something to judge people for. I know what it's like. I still am dealing with body dysmorphia from a mild version of anorexia. Binge eating disorder was the one that I had to deal with the most, as well as ARFID, avoidant restrictive feeding disorder. And so those things I have had to deal with. They are not easy to overcome. They are not easy to deal with. It's getting better, but those things are always going to still be with me because of the food trauma in the past. I am able to manage the binge eating much better the more I keep certain foods out of the house that I am tempted to binge eat on. And so that eating disorder is lessened by my habits and how I structure my grocery shopping and decide what I'm going to put in that grocery cart. So my binge eating is less. I also have helped my binge eating disorder by understanding that when I take something out of my life and when I don't allow myself to have it, then I want it even more. And so in the last 2 years, while I've been able to maintain my weight loss, what really works for me is when I leave the house, I don't put a limit on what I eat. Now, when I was losing the weight, I basically cut out all grains and all sugars, like 98% of the time. So no chocolate, no candy, no breads, no buns, no bakery items. And I really limited it. And that helped me lose the weight, but that was really hard to keep long term because you go to an event and sometimes you don't really feel you have a choice but to actually eat what they put in front of you, or you go to a restaurant, etc. So I realized if I don't limit myself when I'm outside of the house, that really helped. Because then when I come home, and in the past I would have binged on something that was in the house, if I don't have it in the house, I'm not going to binge on it. So when I'm out of the house, I'm also not binging on it because it's portion controlled. In the past, I would have eaten past fullness, or I would snack on something throughout the day because it was in my fridge. Then that's the binging, where you can't really stop and you eat past fullness. That used to be normal for me, to always feel full, and I knew I should stop, and I kept eating and kept eating and kept eating. And it was for many reasons. But when I do it this way, where as long as I'm outside of the house, those things that used to tempt me to binge eat, I'm still eating them when I'm outside of the house. A bowl of pasta, bread with my hamburger bun, even ice cream. Those kinds of things I've tested. I don't actually binge eat on them anymore because they're outside of the house, so I can't continue to eat them. But we went and got ice cream the other day, and I would have finished it past fullness. I only needed a little bit in this little container of ice cream. I only needed that much to satisfy my desire for the ice cream. In the past, I would have finished it and I would have been full, way past full. And I didn't this time. I let it actually melt on our way home. I put it in the freezer when I got home, and I ate it over the next couple days. I would have never done that in the past. So those are habits, but also it was limiting. Now, I have bought the big container of ice cream. It's so inexpensive here in Canada. It's crazy how cheap these foods are that I can binge on. So sometimes I succumb and I buy the container of ice cream, and it's so cheap, and I think, oh, it's on sale, I should buy it, and that's fun. And then I can't stop, and then I will binge eat on the ice cream. Sometimes I have thrown it away. I realize I can't stop, and I'm eating 5 bowls a day. This happened a few months ago, and I literally take the container and I throw it in the garbage. Now I know I'm throwing some money away, but that's better than hating myself, feeling full, and hating the fact that I'm giving into, I'm starting to binge eat again on that ice cream. So that's happened a couple times in the last 2 years where I've thrown the food away because I can't stop. I did a test recently with a chocolate bar because I used to binge eat on chocolate bars. Chocolate, everything chocolate. If you ask me what flavor, and if in doubt, it's chocolate. And that goes way back to, before I can remember. And so I did buy myself a chocolate bar. I ate it maybe 5 times a day until it was done. So it was done in 24 hours kind of thing. This was a couple months ago. Then I left the wrapper in the cupboard to remind myself that I'd eaten the whole thing. It was just like a reminder. Well, I threw the wrapper away, and then I thought, okay, let me try another experiment. I'm always trying to experiment on these habits that I've had, these eating disorders, these addictions. I'm always trying to experiment and figure this thing out. So I bought a chocolate bar. It's not an expensive brand. Very cheap. I had it in my cupboard for 2 weeks and I didn't even open it because I was afraid that if I opened it, I'm going to binge eat. I'm going to eat it 5 times a day till it's done. And I didn't. I had, I think, a quarter of the chocolate bar, and then I have not had it for 3 weeks. So I'm very proud of myself for that. I am overcoming the desire to binge eat on chocolate. So I am learning about what limits I have. The less of those foods in my life, the less they entice me to eat. When I had them all the time, it's like that programming in my brain. I'm programming my brain to see this as a happy thing, to see that I get enjoyment out of it. And when I can back off a bit and realize my life is happy without that chocolate, I'm okay without that chocolate, I have other things in my life that bring me joy, then it's lessened its importance in my life. This is all stuff I'm learning after I lost the 80 pounds, after I've been able to maintain the weight, and after I am really analyzing all of these things that I've had as habits for so many decades, thinking that I'm stuck. And at this age, I feel nothing is set in stone. Now that I am, learning all of this, transforming my body, which is transforming my whole life. I'm learning so much about myself this way and leaving no stone unturned. Everything in my life I'm starting to reanalyze. And so I feel like if I can change in my 50s on this topic, I can change in so many other areas. That's why I was leaving this chart on the wall behind me, to be an example and to show that if I can change my thinking about getting in shape, and if I can learn how to get in shape with these skills, and if I can change my thinking on this area, how many other areas? For me, that's what the word transformation means. It's transforming, and it's becoming something else, and it's not finished. The word transform doesn't necessarily mean it's done. It's in the process of transforming, it's changing, it's becoming something else. It's the becoming part. I hope that some of these things that I'm talking about really can be used by you, can help you to think things through, can help you to reassess some situations and some areas of your life, and then improve your health, as these things have helped to improve my health and to change my life for the better. And if you want to learn more, feel free to get my book on Amazon. It's called Weight Loss Success: How I Lost 80 Pounds with Intermittent Fasting and a Low-Carb Diet. And feel free to get the workbooks too, which have 12 sections to them that have practical ways of keeping track of carbs, keeping track of your daily weight, journaling, goal setting, all those kinds of things that helped me when I was losing my weight, and I'm just passing those on to you. And if you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, it comes out once a week, and I share one of my videos, and I also share practical tips. I share thought processes, mindfulness, habit changes, goal setting, ideas about how to think about everything from the weigh scale to eating disorders, body dysmorphia, BMI, measurements, intermittent fasting, low carb eating, grocery tips, all of those things I cover throughout the newsletters. I'm coming out with some workshops and courses in the future, and I'm really excited to share as much as I can about what worked for me and pass that on to you. I can help guide you on your path along with many, many other people. Always refer to a doctor. I am not a doctor myself. I am not a registered dietitian, even though I have almost 40 years studying diets and my own experience. So I know a lot, but I am not registered as a dietitian or a doctor. So please, before you start any diet, always make sure that you talk to your doctor or a professional about this, or read up on your own. Realize it's your responsibility, and take my advice just as information and as advice, but do not take it as the gospel truth. And realize that this is my opinion, this is my experience, and hopefully some of this can help you. Thank you so much for watching and listening and following my journey, and I look forward to hearing from many of you about your journeys and the people that have already shared with me about how these things are working. And I'm so excited about people learning how to improve their health too. Thanks so much for watching.